We're doing a tier list every single Joestar. I can't believe I haven't done it at this point. Stone Ocean's finished. Jolene's been finished. Now's a better time than ever. So for the anime onlys, I'm going to do parts 1 to 6 first, obviously. And if you don't want to watch parts 7 and 8, you won't get spoiled. If you don't agree with my list, make sure to comment below. I'd love to know what you guys think are the best JoJos, the worst JoJos, because I know my opinion isn't the best opinion, it's mine. If you enjoy this by any means whatsoever, consider supporting the channel, it would be greatly appreciated. So we're going to start out, obviously, with Phantom Blood. Now Jonathan, he's pretty cool. He's kind of basic, to be fair, you know, but that's the point. Araki wanted him to be very pure, very heroic, you know, the very basic fundamental character. It was based off Kenshiro anyway. It was another very basic, and while I think Kenshiro is cooler because he's Kenshiro, I think Jonathan's pretty cool as well. He's got a sword, he's got Hamon, he's got brother issues, he's got dad trauma. I mean, what's not to love there? I'd give Jonathan a C. He's very basic, but there's nothing really bad about Jonathan. You know what I mean? I don't think Jonathan has any necessary flaws. It's just he's not as good as everyone else. And that's just my opinion, obviously. Some people think he's really boring. I don't. I love the drama, the angst with Zeppeli. It's so great. And his death is awesome. Now let's go to Joseph Joestar, one of the best JoJos without a doubt. Immediately, he's going into S tier because Joseph is my GOAT. 1, he's super funny. 2, he's super creative. And 3, he is an asshole. And that's probably my favorite part about him. He's super snarky, but he's also so confident and cocky and determined. And that's what makes it feel so good when he's able to defeat the Pillarmen and then return in part 3 where he's facing against Dio, which makes it not only an amazing return to form for this character, but creates him in a whole different light where he's a sort of mentor role. He also returns in part 4 as well in a very tragic state, which is really, really interesting in my opinion, because we've had these 2 parts where he's super determined and very skilled in like every way whatsoever, but in part 4 he's very sort of sad because we get to see this character's basically entire life. So I love Joseph to death. He's super funny, he's super creative, and he's super fun whenever he's on screen. So obvious S tier in my opinion. Some people love Jodoro to death, think he's the best Joestar without a doubt. I personally don't, but I don't think he's the worst Joestar. Lots of people hate Jodoro because he's very one note, which I personally disagree with. I think Jodoro is actually a very deep character, as Araki has layered him more and more and more with all the stuff that's happened to him as the story has gone on. We get to see him go through many interesting roles as the story continues. He's very brash and unable to open himself up to other people, when at the end of Stardust Crusaders, he actually becomes able to open himself up to other people. But in part 4, he's truly able to become vulnerable and open as a mentor character, being able to train Josuke and Koichi in so many great and cool ways, like the rat fight, and with the fight against Kira with Koichi. He's just so confident, but also a lot more mature. With part 6, this is arguably his most important role in the entire series, where he is now the father of our main protagonist, Jolene. His mentor nature isn't a necessarily important part of the story. It's actually something very, very distant, which is very cool because Jolene even becoming a criminal is because of this lack of connection to her father, and it's just such a great emotional narrative for this part. With Jodoro, as you can tell, he's got a lot of layers. I didn't even begin to mention that a lot of people think he has PTSD because of him fighting Kira and thinking about Dio, him fighting Pucci and thinking about Dio. There's just a lot there. So for Jodoro, I'm going to give him an A tier because I think he's really, really great. He's super developed in my opinion. I think parts 4 and 6 are significantly better showings of this character than part 3, while in Joseph's case, parts 2, 3, and 4 were all fantastic. So that's why I'm going to give him the edge over Jodoro, but I can understand people saying Jodoro is the best Joestar because, I mean, he's in like almost half of the story. Of course he's likely to be, you know, high ranking. My guy Josuke, and part 4 Josuke, not part 8 Josuke. For anime onlys, you might be very confused by that, but let's not get into that right now. That's one of my favorite stands in the entire series. Crazy Diamond, super cool ability. What I love about this character so much is that he might not be the most rich and in-depth character, only being in part 4, but I find his role in the story so compelling. I love his dynamic with Kira. I find it incredibly fascinating. I love his role as the person who brings everyone together and is able to create all these bonds. It's amazing. I absolutely love it to death. I love how creative he is. I love how funny he is, because he's still just a stupid teenager and he gets into all these antics with Okuyasu. I love most of all how he cares so much about everyone else. He's obviously a character that's very self-sacrificial, his entire ability being based off of healing others and not being able to heal himself. It's really indicative to his role in the story, where he brings everyone together to stop this massive threat, but is unable to do anything only by himself, which is very cool because Kira is obviously a very solitary figure. A lot of dynamics going on here. He's super funny, he's super creative, and I love his emotion that he has throughout the entire story. I just love him. I think he's super fun to have as a protagonist because of how much he cares about other people. So I'm going to give him an A tier as well. He's going right with Jodoro, because even though he's not as in-depth as Jodoro, I just find him really compelling. And that's just my personal bias, obviously, but it's my list. So there we go. Just right here, just don't even, we're not going to say anything, but Giorno is my least favorite Joestar. Now, I will give you a bit of a history lesson. I got into JoJo's when Part 4 was airing as an anime, and I loved it to death. So obviously, I wanted to get more in touch with the series, wanted to read the rest of it, get caught up with the manga. Unfortunately, the scans for Part 5 were absolutely horrendous. Like, they were genuinely almost unreadable a lot of the time, especially with Green Day and Oasis. Oh my god, they were horrific. Negative biases when it comes to Part 5 because of that alone. I think Giorno gets outclassed in his part by many other characters. Mista, like him way more than Giorno. Bruno is the main character of Part 5. Giorno should be the person I'm hooked on. And don't get me wrong, Giorno is cool. He has funny moments, he is clever, he is smart, he is intuitive, and he has a great fighting style. There are so many things about Giorno I should like, but I just don't. I don't really like the Evolo either, but we're not gonna get into that. He could have been better in a lot of other ways, and by that I mean you make Bruno Giorno. Boom, you got a great character. You might even have an A to S tier Joestar. You know, I know a lot of people aren't gonna like that, but it's my list, it's my opinion, and if you like Giorno, that's cool. So, like what you want to like. So now we're gonna get into Jolene, who is a fantastic main character. I love her to death. She's super abrasive, she's hilarious. I love how creative she is with her ability, and I love how much she cares about all these people, especially Emporio. That stuff actually kills me. I find Jolene super compelling because of her drive to save her father, who she has been absently trying to get the attention of for so many years. And now that he's there and she doesn't have the capability to connect with him, her entire goal is to just save her dad. And it's such a powerful motive, and I love it so much. So I think Jolene is absolutely fantastic. I love watching her. She always commands presence whenever she's on screen. She's super assertive. She's super confident. With that, I didn't think I was going to do this. I did not think I was going to do this, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling she's S tier. The more and more I think about it, the more I'm like, yes. Now, there might be a bit of a bias, obviously. Stone Ocean's anime did just finish not that long ago, and I think Jolene is a standout of the amazing qualities of that part. So with that, I think she's a deserved S tier. I'm going to be honest. We'll get into the manga parts, so for all the people who are anime onlys, if you don't want to get spoiled, just stop this video, and boom, anime only list right there. And we'll get into the manga parts right now. My favorite Joestar, Johnny Joestar. He is amazing. I love him to death. And he is just super sick. He is amazing. I love the companionship he has with Gyro. I love his struggle. I love his determination. This is when Araki started going off with the murderous, intense stuff. He can be from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows in no time. I think that Johnny has the lowest lows by far, besides like Jonathan, who literally died. Love his importance in the story and how he's meant to be this shining star in this world that's just trash and filled with all these people who are just vile. And he is vile too. He's a bad person. Yet somehow he's able to come out and just truly prove himself. He's able to become one with the world. He's able to learn spin. And the fact that he has an evolving stand. Now, I personally love evolving stands because, like with Koichi, we get to see the characters grow along with their stand, and it's a bit of a basic narrative thing, but it's so cool, and how he's able to grow as a person from a very weak and meager Tusk Act 1 to a little brick wall that is Act 4. So, genuinely, I love Johnny to death. I think he's an amazing protagonist, and I think he is the best Joestar. He is super great, and I genuinely think that, Joseph is fun. Joseph is very fun. He's very quirky. Jolene is super amazing, very quirky as well. I think Johnny is on that same level, but he's there with different characteristics, because I still enjoy them so much. And yeah, that's my thoughts on Johnny. He's my guy, and I really like him. And I'm glad that so many people are going to be able to experience him now that they're done with Stone Ocean and read the really great scans of Part 7, which is another really important thing. The scans in Part 7 were good. They were really good. And it was all like colored drawings. It was all really good, fun to read. So definitely recommend reading it if you're done with the anime and, still watching this video, obviously. But now we're going to get to JoJolion, which is the most recently finished part of the manga. And I just gotta say, I really do like Josuke a lot. His entire goal of trying to find himself, I thought that was a very powerful idea for a part, seeing as Josuke doesn't necessarily have these connections to his past. He is just tied to it, but he doesn't have the emotional connection. He's basically trying to find out who he is by finding these past through lines, which aren't necessarily him in the first place. So he's trying to just carve a way into this world. And I think it's a very powerful message for a lot of the readers as well. You got to try and figure out who you are by just etching your way around the world. And I think it's a very genuine message for this series. A lot of these other people are very determined in who they are, and that's their entire basis of their character. But Josuke, he's very determined to find out who he is. And I think it's a very interesting way of spinning the entire JoJo formula. He is a very caring person, but he's also very selective with who he cares about. Josuke and Yasuo are so precious. I love them both to death, and I absolutely adore the romance angle of JoJolion. I thought that was very genuine and sweet, and I love seeing them both together on screen all the time. I thought their connection was super adorable. What I think is the best part about Josuke, in my opinion, is his ending, his sort of factualization of who he is. And he's not Josefumi, he's not Kira, he's Josuke. He's a new person. He's gonna stop trying to chase the past and live in the future. And I think that's an incredibly powerful message for a lot of people who are trying to find themselves and are trying to cling to something they used to be when they aren't that anymore. I think that's a very powerful message. The Higashikata family welcomes him in, and I find that absolutely beautiful. I thought that was a very powerful way to end the story. See, now I'm debating, because he's not B tier, but do I move them? I don't want to move them. Because I do think there's a gap in enjoyment, which is ironic because I'm talking about a gappy, you know what I mean? I'll give him an A. I do really like Josuke as a protagonist. I think he's very fun. His ability is awesome. I did not even mention that, but I thought Soft and Wet, with the ability to steal things from people, was incredibly clever. But with that's my list. I genuinely do love all these characters. Sorry, Jonathan and Giorno, you're not that level for me. I'm sorry. But I'm curious, what do you guys think are the best Joestars? Who's your least favorite Joestar? And it's probably not Giorno, but if you did enjoy any of this or want to debate my horrific takes, how every YouTuber's like, ooh, the analytics and all that, this percent. It turns out less than 5% of you are subscribed, so hopefully you enjoy. I do want to do more tier lists in the future, so if you have any topics you'd like me to cover, let me know below. And with that, thanks for watching, and have a good one.